In this lesson, we're going to write linear equations by finding the slope and the y-intercept. Example 1, how do I write an equation given the slope and a point? So just like in the previous lesson, our step 1 is to calculate the slope. Step 2 is to find the y-intercept, and we can substitute and solve for b. We're going to be doing that in today's lesson. And step 3 is to write the equation of the line back in the y is equal to mx plus b. So let's take a look at what we're given in number 1. We have a point, 2, 5, the coordinates 2, 5, and then we have a slope of 3. So what we're looking for is a line that's going to go through this point 2, 5, and it's going to have a slope of 3. So let's go ahead and take a look. So the first step is we're going to calculate the slope. Well, we already have the slope, m is equal to 3. And then we need to find the y-intercept, and we're going to be, in this lesson, we're going to be substituting and solving for b. Remember that point that you're given is an xy coordinate. And every line any line that's in slope-intercept form is written in the form y is equal to mx plus b. So what you have here then is, I'm just going to delete this right here. The m we know is 3. All right, so we still need to find the b. So what we have, though, is we've got this point. We have this point of xy. So if we substitute and solve for the b, what that means is we're going to substitute in this point in the y is equal to mx plus b. I know I have a 5 is equal to 3 times my x is equal to 2 plus b. And now we're just going to simplify and continue solving. So I have 6 plus b is equal to 5, and I'm going to get the b all by itself. And b is going to be equal to -1. So now you have a slope, and now you have the y-intercept. So we have to go and write it back into the y is equal to mx plus b form. So you're going to have y is equal to, your slope is 3, and my y-intercept then is -1. And so this is what we are looking for, and I want to show you what it's going to look like on the line. So you had the y-intercept of -1, so it started right here, and then you had this slope of 3. So you go up 1, 2, 3 over 1, 1, 2, 3 over 1, and notice how that point is on this line. The y is equal to 3x minus 1. All right, let's do it again. So again, the first step in writing an equation is you have to find the slope. Well, we have the slope. The next step is to find the y-intercept. And we're going to be doing that by substituting and solving for b. So now let's go ahead and let's go back into our equation y is equal to mx plus b, and let's plug in everything that we know. We know that y is 2. We know we have a slope of 4, and we have an x of 7, and then we would want to know what the y-intercept is then. So we're going to have 2 is equal to 28 plus b, and now we minus 28. And so b is going to be equal to -26. So I would have an equation that was y is equal to, again, now we're just going to plug in the parts. We have the slope, we have the y-intercept. Y is equal to 4x minus 26. All right, so we're going to write an equation again. I have a slope of -1/3, and I've got a point of 915. Again, we're going to plug in everything that we know. All right, so we have the slope, which is -1/3, and I have an x and a y, but I do not have my y-intercept, so I'm going to substitute and solve for that. 15 is equal to 1/3 times 9, or -1/3 times 9, plus b. So we have 15 is equal to -3 plus b. We're going to add the 3. And b is going to be equal to then 18. So now I have the slope, and now I have the y-intercept. So I'm just going to plug it back in here. Y is equal to -1/3 x plus 18. And then you're all done. So example 2, how do I write an equation given 2 points? So we have the points -2, -5, and 2, -1. So again, our first step is always going to be then to calculate the slope. So let's find our slope. We have x1, y1, x2, y2. And remember, the slope formula is y of 2 minus y of 1 all over x of 2 minus x of 1. All right, so let's start with that. I'm going to take my -1 minus -5 all over 2 minus -2. So these are going to become a plus. -1 plus 5 is +4, and all over 4. So we have a slope that's equal to 1. So now we have a slope, and we have to find that y-intercept. This is where we go and we substitute. I like to just go right down. Y is equal to mx plus b, and let's then plug in the parts we know, and we're going to solve for what we don't. So we have a slope of 1, and I have a point of -5 for y, and our x is -2, and then we have solving for b. So I have -5 is equal to -2 plus b. Let's add the 2. And b is going to be equal to then -5 plus 2 is -3. And now let's go plug it into our y is equal to mx plus b. Y is equal to then, we have a slope of 1, or you could have just put x, doesn't matter, minus 3. All right, we have another set of points. So again, our first step, we need to find the slope. So we're going to then x1, y1, x2, y2, and let's calculate the slope. Y of 2 minus y of 1 all over x of 2 minus x of 1. So we have 4 all over 8, which can be simplified to 1/2. So we know we have a slope of 1/2. This is where I like to write down the y is equal to mx plus b, and then I'm going to substitute in the parts I know. So I know I have a slope of 1/2. Now notice you've got 2 points here. It doesn't matter which point you take. You can take either one. I'm just going to take this 5 and the 8 because but it does not matter. I could do the same thing with the 13 and the 12, and I'll get the same answer. So I'm going to then have my y is 8, and my x is 5. All right, so 8 is equal to 2.5 plus b, and then minus 2.5. So we have 5.5. All right. So now we have the slope, we have the y-intercept. Let's just plug it back in. We have y is equal to then our slope of 1/2 x, and then our y-intercept is equal to 5.5. And let's do one more. All right, we're going to solve. First step, we need to have a slope. We need slope, we need the y-intercept. So x1, y1, x2, y2. I'm going to take for slope, I'm going to have 5 minus -7 all over -3 minus -6. So I'll have 12. And then I have -3 plus 6 is equal to 3. And let's simplify that to 4. So my slope is 4. And now I'm going to take the y is equal to mx plus b. And we're going to substitute in what we know and solve for what we don't, which is the y-intercept. So, and again, I'm just going to take the first, it doesn't matter which point you take. I'm going to have -7 for y. My slope is 4. We know that. We know we have an x for 6, or -6 for x, and then we have plus b. All right. All right, so we're going to have 17 is equal to b. And so now I have the slope and the y-intercept, so I'll have y is equal to 4x plus 17. All right, so how do I write an equation from a table? So we have the same steps as before, finding the slope, the y-intercept, and then writing it back in the form y is equal to mx plus b. Now notice what we have in a table, I think sometimes the easiest thing for us to do is just pick 2 points up from this table. And if I have a 0 something, I'm always going to pick that because that's going to make things easier in the long run. So I have the point 0, 0, and I have a point 1, 2. So again, we're always going to find the slope. So I'll take m is going to be equal to 2 minus 0 and then 1 minus 0. So 2 all over 1, which is equal to 2. All right, now we could substitute and solve for this, but what do you notice here is that you've got a 0, 0. When x is 0, the y-intercept is that number with that. So our y-intercept, we don't have to substitute and solve for here. Just take that shortcut, and I know that my y-intercept is 0 there. So I'm going to have y is equal to, my slope is 2x, and I could put plus 0, but I don't have to. I'm just going to leave it as y is equal to 2x. We know it's going to go through the origin. All right, so we have another one. And again, just take out 2 points. It really doesn't matter which 2. I'm going to take out the 0, 5, and I'm going to take out the 1, 3. So our first step, we're going to find the slope. So I'm going to take 3 minus 5, and then 1 minus 0. I'll have negative 2 all over 1, and so our slope is negative 2. And here again, I have an x which is 0, meaning my y-intercept, I know it's going to be 5. I don't have to do the substituting and solving. So you can just take y is equal to negative 2x, and then you're going to add the 5. And our last one we have here. We're going to take 2 points, 1, 1, and 2, 3. Let's start by finding the slope. We'll take 3 minus 1, all over 2 minus 1. So 2 all over 1, which is equal to 2. Now for this one, I don't have the y-intercept given. So I'm just going to take one at this point here, 1, 1. Doesn't matter which one you take. So y is equal to mx plus b. I'm going to plug in a 1 is equal to 2 times 1 plus b. 1 is equal to 2 plus b. I minus my 2. And b is going to be equal to negative 1. So once you have those two things, we can write it in y is equal to 2x minus 1 would be our equation for that line. So in this lesson, we took a look at writing equations by finding the slope and the y-intercept.